Welcome back to the next session of Kanji Oboima show. Let's memorize kanjis. Let's pick up where we left off. We had previously done a measly 3 kanjis. Today I hope to cover a few more. So let's see if I can meet my targets. This is the 4th kanji we have. I am going to follow this writing convention only for the next few sessions, maybe until we do the first 20 kanjis, and then I will not be using this. So until then, please try and get used to the convention. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So again, just for the first few videos, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. Very similar to the previous 2 kanjis we have done. The meaning is quite obvious. The kanji resembles the concept it is attempting to represent very beautifully in a very intuitive manner. The kanji is 3. Let's do the on and kunyomis very quickly. It has a bunch of kunyomi, but they're all very closely related, so it shouldn't be too difficult to memorize. The first is mi, the second is mitsu, very similar to hitotsu futatsu, and then there is one more, mitsu. Usually the mitsu, the third one is what will be used. Now let's have a look at the onyomi. The onyomi is very simple, sun. Let's have a look at sample words. So here this can be 3 days, or it can also be third day. Now I'm not very sure if I covered this in my previous video, but this same thing holds true for all the other days that we have done. So if this comes up, it could be 1 day, or it could also be the first day. If this comes up, it can be 2 days, or it can also be the second day. But there is one very important point to be remembered here. This 2 days or second day will be read as futsuka, no matter what. Again, the tsu came out wrong, so let me rewrite that. We read as futsuka, no matter the situation. Whether it means 2 days or second day, it will be read as futsuka. Similarly, for the 3 days kanji, it will be read as mikka. No matter the meaning, whether it is 3rd days or 3 days, it's going to be read as mikka. But this kanji here, if it means 1 day, you will pronounce it, or you will read it as ichinichi. But if it is the first day, you will read it as tsuitachi. So this is a bit of an exception. Please bear that in mind. So this is an exception. Just keep that in mind. Okay, now let's move on with other sample words for the kanji we have just done. So let's do this. So because we've just done the reading of the first 2 kanjis only just above, it should be pretty easy what this is to be read as. It's read as mikamade, which means by the 3rd. By the 3rd, that's what that means. Pretty straightforward. Let's do one more. Mitsudake. Mitsudake. See, here you've had the small tsu coming, here also you've had the small tsu come in. So this is the one that you will see most often, but in a lot of cases you may also come across the second reading of mitsu without the small tsu. So here mitsudake means only 3 or just 3. How many oranges would you like? Mitsudake, only 3 or just 3. That's how that is used. Okay, let's quickly move on to the next one. This is the 5th kanji for us. This is the 5th kanji. Let's go over the stroke order very quickly. Pretty straightforward, nothing complicated about it. let's have a look at the meaning. So in case someone was thinking that this is the kanji for 4, it's not. This is the kanji for 10. This is the kanji for 10. It's not exactly a very intuitive kanji, so this is your one other example of how kanjis are not very intuitive all the time. So this kanji is 10. The on and kunyomis, the kunyomis, it has 2 of them which are very similar to each other. The first is to and the second is to. And the onyomis, again it has 2 which are very similar. The first is ju, the second is ju. Actually, let me rewrite that. Yeah, ju. Let's move on to sample words. So again, the one with days, this can be 10 days or the 10th day. The 10th day. The reading convention is the same as we did for 2 days and 3 days, where it will not use the onyomis, and irrespective of the meaning, whether it is 10 days or 10th day, the reading will not change. The reading in this case will be toka. Toka. Now let's do some more patterns with this. So let's say okay, let's have a look at another combination of days. So because we've done the number for 2 and 10, 2 and 10, this seems to be pretty obvious. It means 20. Okay, let's do 20 first. I'll come back to that in a bit. So let's do 20 first. So this is 20. You know, 2 10s are 20. So the reading for 20 here, we will use the standard rule of 2 kanjis coming together. So we'll use the onyomi. So this will be niju. It will be read as niju. That's pretty simple. Now let's move to the example that I was going to cover previously. Here, this number 20 is coming with day. So one would think that it has to be read as nijunichi. Actually, no. There is a special reading for this, and that is hatsuka. You have to memorize this. There is no way around it. I don't know why it is called hatsuka. I just know that it's called hatsuka, and that's how they refer to it themselves. So if someone says hatsuka, you don't have to wonder about what it is. It's just the 20th. Just please bear that in mind. 20th day. Again, another example with a slightly different kind of reading. So here we just said that it is 20. There is one special context, and that context is age, when it will be read as hatachi, which means 20 years old. So if someone says hatachi, they will still write the same 2 kanjis, but they are talking about age. That is one special note. A few more examples of this. A few more examples with the kanji for 10. So this is something like an idiom. You know, like our idioms and phrases. Here, even though the kanjis are coming with kana, this is again an exception to that rule, where you will not use the kunyomis, you will use the onyomis of both, and this will be read as ichi kara 10 made. Ichi kara 10 made. And this means without exception. So if someone says you have to do everything without exception, there is a possibility that they will throw in this idiom saying ichikara jiu made, which means do the whole thing without exception. Okay, this is a pretty simple kanji. I don't think we need to do the special note that's given in the book. In my opinion, and also in the book's opinion at a later point, it will be expressed that the first 10 kanjis, that is the kanji from 1 to 10 for numbers, are quite simple. It's easier to just memorize them rather than to try and remember them through the mnemonic, because the mnemonic itself can be complicated in some situations. So I will not cover the special note here. You can read it if you're interested, and I will move on to the next kanji for now. So the next kanji is the 6th kanji for us, and that's this kanji. If I have to write it properly, it will take up a bunch of space because it's a somewhat big kanji. I apologize, I goofed up the second stroke. Let me redo that. Yeah. That's how that goes. Again, stroke order, just for the initial few. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is 5. It could be a little difficult to guess this kanji, but we are back to the number series. We last left off with 3, and this kanji is for 4. I will quickly cover the mnemonic here because it may be useful. This kanji also resembles another kanji which is mentioned in the book, but because that kanji comes up much later, I will recap to this kanji, the kanji of 4, when we do the other kanji, so that the difference is clear. Let us not skip ahead for now. So I will briefly mention the mnemonic here. So how many sides does a square have? How many sides does a square have? The answer is 4. If you see, a big part of this kanji happens to be the somewhat squarish shape with those two, we usually call them legs inside. So let's not think about the legs for now and just look at the overall shape. It's a square, and how many sides does a square have? It has 4 sides. So that's how you can remember this kanji. Let's do the on and kunyomi. This has a bunch of kunyomi, but they're again very similar, so it's somewhat easy to remember. The first is yo, the next is yon, then you have your regular readings with tsu, and very similar to what we did for 3, there is yotsu and yotsu with a small tsu. And then the onyomi is shi. To all those pop culture trivia people who have read up on Japan and come across this statement saying Japanese don't have 4th floors in their buildings, that's only partially true. They do have 4th floors. It's just that instead of using the reading shi, they will use the reading yon. That's the only difference. And instead of calling it shi something, they will call it yon something to mean 4th floor. And the reason for that is actually correct when it is given in all those pop culture websites, saying that the sound shi is the same sound as that of death, and that is why they do not use it. That part is correct. So then let's move on to the sample words. Again, our compulsory word with the kanji for day. This can be 4 days or 4th day, and this, again, in keeping with the convention we have done so far, barring the exception of 1 day, is going to be read as yokka. Interestingly, there is one other usage, or rather there is one other situation where it is going to come up as yokka, and that is when you want to talk about this. It's pretty obvious what this means. It is 10, 4 and day, so this is the 14th day. So 14th day is going to be read as, interestingly, juyokka, where if you remember, ju is the onyomi of 10, but yokka are respectively the kunyomis of 4 and day. So Juyokka is how you are going to call that, the 14th of a month, for example. Let's have a look at a few other examples. So here 14, now that we've done 14th day, let's have a look at 14. I apologize for the reverse order. This is of course, okay, rather than writing it in English, let me write the number 14. 14 interestingly is going to use the onyomi of one and the kunyomi of another. So this is going to be Juyon. Juyon. That's how that's going to be. So if you remember Juyon, this becomes somewhat easy to remember from Juyon to Juyokka. Not much of a difference. So you could memorize it like that. You will not say Jushi. Just keep that in mind. You will not say Jushi. Okay. I think it's pretty straightforward. We will come across the other usages later on. But for now, let's move on to the next kanji. The 7th kanji of the day, rather the 7th kanji in the order of kanjis. It's a little small, but okay, I could write it a little bit larger. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. And again, following with the same convention that we have thus far, this is once again a number, and this number is 5. I hope the stroke order is clear. Okay, let me just write it because I said I would until the 20th kanji. So okay, I'll do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. But this kanji stands for 5. In case you noticed, the kanji for 4 has 5 strokes and the kanji for 5 has 4 strokes. So the stroke order does not necessarily represent anything other than the order in which it must be drawn. That's it. There is no other significance to stroke order. So please don't get into the habit of, oh, if it has this many strokes, it must be X. No such rule holds true. Again, the kanji for 10 only had 2 strokes. So okay, let's have a look at some sample words for this. Oh, I apologize. Let's do the kunyomi and onyomi first. So it has very few kunyomis. One is itsu and the other is itsutsu. Please note that this is a full tsu and not a small tsu like we have been seeing so far. It has to be pronounced itsutsu. That's how that's read. And then the onyomi for this, quite simple, go. That's it. Now then, quickly let's move on to the sample words. You have the compulsory kanji for days. So this is the 5th day or 5 days. 5 days, and keeping in convention. In keeping with the convention we have seen so far, is going to be read as itsuka. Itsuka. Now, one interesting variation that you will see from this point on. So let's quickly do this kanji, which I am pretty sure you will be able to guess within no time. This is the kanji for 15, and it will be read just like we did for 14 with the onyomis of both. So this is going to be read as jugo, jugo, jugo. But now that we have done jugo, how do you suppose this is read? Is this going to be juitsuka just like we did for 14? The answer is a big fat no. The answer is it's going to be read as jugo nichi. Jugo nichi. So please bear that in mind. This is the 15th day, or even 15 days for that matter. Okay. Okay, now let's have a look at some other meanings. So this is, that's a very ugly looking too. So here you're talking about 5 hodo. Here hodo is usually approximately or about. So this is going to be read with the kun reading here. So it's going to be itsutsu hodo, which means about 5 or around 5. That's what that means. One other example that is given in the book that I will just go briefly over. So this is read as Daiya no Go. I will just write it down. I think I have mentioned that you should typically not rewrite it in hiragana, but for those of us who have done hiragana better than katakana, this should be an easy way to remember or read. So it will be read as Daiya no Go. Daiya here stands for the diamond suit. Diamond suit in a deck of cards. And Daiya no Go means 5 of diamonds. So this is an interesting example for those who have done a lot of katakana words and who have practiced how to write words of a foreign language that is non-Japanese language in Japanese. It might be easier for them to guess, but for all others, Daiya is 5 of diamonds. There will be many such abbreviations that you will come across over the course of your Japanese learning, not just kanji but your Japanese learning. So yes, for now this is a one example. So again, Daiya is very similar to your another measurement which is usually shortened in Japanese. So you have something like this. So those who are familiar with the international system of writing units or the metric system, and they call it IS units. So the IS units, millimeters, is just shortened to miri in Japanese. It's just shortened to miri in Japanese, even though the whole word is supposed to be millimeters. Very similar in case of diamonds, where it is just shortened to daiya. I'll just erase that because it's not really relevant to this session. So okay, now let's move to the next kanji, which would be the 8th kanji. Let me switch pencils really quickly. This is the 8th kanji, quite simple. Oops, that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4. Please make sure that these two do not touch the horizontal line on top, because that would be wrong. So let's have a look at the meaning of this. Again, after 5 comes 6. Oops. After 5 comes 6. So this kanji stands for 6. The kun and onyomis really quickly. So this has a bunch of kunyomis, but again, just like 4, they're very closely related, so they shouldn't be too difficult to memorize. The first is mu, then you have mutsu, then you have mutsu, and then you have mui. Mui. And the onyomi is roku. That's it. Let's look at our sample words. So you have the number of days examples. So this is the 6th day or 6 days, and it will be read as muika. Muika, not mutsuka, muika. Okay. Now you have one other interesting pattern here. So this means once in 6 days, once in 6 days, or the first time in 6 days, as the book says. Let me rewrite it the way the book says. First time in 6 days. I'm pretty certain this is part of a pattern and not necessarily restricted to 6. That is to say, if I say Itskaburi ni, I imagine it would mean the same first time in 5 days, but I need to confirm that. So for now, just let's remember this as an example and not try to use it as a pattern. I will confirm to you later on if it can be used as a pattern. Okay, and this is going to be read as, okay, that's a very bad move. Muika buri ni. Muika buri ni. Just draw a distinction here. Yeah. Muika buri ni. Now here I imagine it's quite simple to read it. I made a slight mistake there. So this is a standard way of writing, and one of the kunyomis already mentions this. So this, again the mu came out really bad, but yeah, this is read as mutsu, very similar to hitotsu, futatsu, itsutsu. It means 6 of a thing. So how many apples do you want? You would say mutsu and it would mean 6. 6 apples. Let's move to the next example, the 9th example, or rather the 9th kanji. That's all. This is 1. This is 2. Again, quickly stroke order. That's 1. Please note the slight upward slant, and this is 2. Again, continuing with the number sequence, this is the kanji for 7. Sometimes I wonder if I have hands or what. Okay, an interesting tip that the book also mentions is a mnemonic. For those who are used to writing 7 this way, which the book mentions as the European style, if you just flip it over, this is the same as the kanji that we have. You just have to flip it over and it becomes this 7. So 7 European style flipped over. That's all. So 7, if you just flip it over, that becomes the kanji for 7. So whenever you want to write 7, just think about how you're going to write it and just write a mirror image of it, and that's it, you're done. That's the mnemonic for it. The on and kunyomis now, it has a bunch of kunyomis just like we've seen. So 1 is nana, then you have nano, oops, I shouldn't have drawn parentheses, nano, then you have nanatsu, and the onyomi is quite simple. I got the stroke wrong. So even katakana and hiragana have strokes which you must follow in order for the shape to come out correctly. If you make a mistake there, then that's going to look wrong, which is why I keep erasing mine in case I miss the stroke orders. So yeah, that's something an extra piece of information for you. So okay, the number of days, so here it can be 7 days or 7th day, and this is going to be read as Nanoka. The kunyomis again, Nanoka. Now here, because we've already done the kanji for 10, this is 17, the number, and this is going to be read just like we have seen until now as Jushchi. Jushchi. Or it can also be read as Junana. This is an interesting case. You can also read it as Junana. So now with the day kanji, so you have Ju. So here you can call it just like we did for 17. You can call it Jushchi Nichi, or you can also call it as Ju Nana Nichi, both of which mean 17th day or 17 days. And just like we did for the example of 6, if you want to say 7 of something, you will say Nanatsu and you're done. Okay, moving on to the next example. I apologize for the speed, but I think if I don't do it, we're all going to be in big trouble. It will take more than a year to finish all the kanjis. So let's have a look at the last example for today. One of the simpler kanjis. 1, 2. 1, 2. Again the stroke order. Oops, wrong pencil color. Okay, so this is 1, this is 2. In continuation, after 7 is 8. This is the kanji for 8. The ono and konyomis now. So you have a bunch of onyomis, only one of which is a little bit confusing. So the first is ya, the next is yatsu, the next is yatsu, and the last one is a bit tricky. It is read as yo. It's a little bit different. And the onyomi is hachi. You can see that the onyomi ha is very similar to the kanji itself. So that's an interesting coincidence. Much like the kanji for ni, which is the onyomi for 2, looks very much like the katakana you would use to write ni. Now then, quickly let's have a look at the days, the words. So this is 8th day or 8 days, and this will use the same convention of kunyomis, and here it will be yoka. Yoka. For those who were able to remember for some reason right now, perhaps due to the similarity of the pronunciation, 4th day is yoka and the 8th day is yoka. Please just focus on how each is pronounced. Yoka, where it's something like this, and this is more like yoka. So that's the difference. Yoka is 4, yoka is 8. Okay. Now again, let's do 18 just like we've done for all other numbers, because we now know the kanji of 10. This is 18, which is usually read as Juhachi. The onyomis of both, Juhachi. And then you have, which is the 18th day, or 18 days. And just like we did for 15 and 17 and 16 and so on, this is going to be read as 18 日 18 日. Okay. There is one other idiom that the book mentions which I think is pretty nice. So you have and very similar to the ichikara ju made, you're going to read both of these two kanjis with their respective onyomis as, I'm sorry, I miswrote the idiom. It should be ichika hachika. Excuse me. And this is read as ichika hachika, and it means all or nothing. All or nothing. Hit or miss. Hit or miss. So either you do or you don't. That's ichika hachika. There is an elaborate mnemonic that's given for this in the book, but I think the mnemonic itself is more complicated than the kanji, so I will skip it for now. That covers the 10 kanji mark that I had targeted for today. So see you next time. I hope you had fun. Please keep revising these so that you don't forget. And okay, thank you for watching. Bye bye.